What's up, everyone? Ben Barrows, aka Random Crown, back for part 3 of this $4 180 hand history review. If you guys haven't seen part 1 or 2, I encourage you to go back and check them out so you know what all the hands are about that we've played up until this point, so you all can be properly caught up to speed. 5-7 off here now in the BB for DB on John. Cut off open to get an A6 deuce rainbow board. Check, check. Get a 3 on the turn, brings out a backdoor flush. Check, check. Get a blank 8 on the river, and it seems like the cutoff is already given up on this pot. They could have something like king queen, queen jack, just trying to check it down, and 7 high obviously is behind those kind of hands, so the only way to win it is to bet out, and that's exactly what DB does from the BB. Bets a tad more than half pot, and it's good enough to ship the dip. They can credibly rep 8x, potentially an ace that decided to check the turn, set of 3s, 4 5 that got there with a straight. So yeah, there's definitely some hands that they could have for value. They rep them and get through. Jack 10 now on the button. Standard open when folded to, and easy fold once the BB ships it in for a little under 28 blinds. 7s now, under the gun +1. Open it up, both blinds call, get ace 5, 3, 2 club board. Could c-bet here to protect against overs like 10 jack, king queen type hands, and you'll still get value from like some 5x and flush draws, but it's also fine to check back, just try and check it down with your showdown value if you don't think that the blinds are going to get out of line and try and just bet you off the best hand. Yeah, if you think they're just going to play more straightforward, bet when they have it and check when they don't, yeah, checking it down is fine. And so that's what happens, and 7s are good against the jack queen and the 8 jack. Nice hand, DB. Now we have the AA and the BB for DB. Under the gun +1 open limps. Hijack limps behind, and DB on John bumps it up, makes it 4x the BB, which is fine. I think this is the minimum size to make it though. Could make it a little larger, like 1250, even 1500. Since both the limpers have deep stacks, as do we, so we want to charge them as much as possible to give them, you know, a poor price to try and draw out on us, especially because we are out of position, so they have the advantage post flop. We want to counter that as much as possible just by making it a bigger sizing. So again, 1000's okay, but I think probably something like 1250, maybe like 1300 would be fine. And definitely, I mean, you could just go as high as 1500, even like 1600, 1700. Whatever you think the most that they'll call is, raise to that. And hijack flat, so you get an ace 3-9 rainbow board, flop top set, the nuts, very standard check. Hijack bets bit more than a third pot, not quite half though, and it's very easy call with best possible hand. That's why we check to induce bluffs and worst value bets, and we get a jack on the turn, and the hijack bets around a quarter pot, and we still have the best possible hand. There are some draws out there now, hearts for flush draw, queen 10, 10 king, king queen for some straight draws. There was a straight draw on the flop technically, like 4-5, 5-2, but we don't think that they're really going to be limping those kind of hands. So we can discount the straight draw on the flop, but they could easily have some broadways that just bet when check 2 on the flop and now actually turn some equity. But check raising here just looks a bit too strong, so that's why we decide to just call again. You know, keep our hand somewhat disguised. I mean, they're going to put us on a set of aces or a set of jacks, set of nines even sometimes. Could even have ace jack, although we would probably raise to a bigger amount with ace jack out of position, or even check it. So they can discount that somewhat. But yeah, we could easily have ace king here, ace queen, but we're really trying to rep that we have kings or queens, or tens even. But after we check call the turn, more kings or queens, because tens, you know, could easily fold to the second bet now that there's 2 overs out there. But yeah, kings or queens, again, we're trying to rep so that way they can just continue barreling on the river, and we can just check raise and get the max. And obviously if we have queens, we just tripped up. So, you know, we just are repping kings, hoping that that's what they put us on. And they just fire out another bet. A little more than the third pot. And we only lose to king 10. So if they runner Broadway, then good for them. But they're going to be betting plenty of worse hands here. Some as bluffs, some for value. And with this particular sizing, it looks like they have more of a value hand. Could have some sort of ace X. Could have 2 pair, like ace 9, ace 3, ace jack, ace queen. Although ace jack and ace queen we can discount since they over-limped pre, we can expect them to ISO those kind of hands. Although some players do occasionally limp them behind. Could have something like jack queen that just runner 2 paired. And we just decide to pull the trigger and check raise for value since we're just ahead of so many hands here. So we just want to get the max with our top set. And DB makes it like 2.5 times the bet, which is a fine size. Some players will just check jam here with the virtual nuts, but that'll lose some action against like weak aces and potential like, you know, weak 2 pairs. So by 2.5xing, we price in a lot of those hands to call. Like they know that they're behind a lot, but they just side call because they're getting okay odds. But when we jam, they can convince themselves to fold because it's a lot more, and they're just not getting as attractive of a price. And now we get a call from queen 9, so they flopped middle pair, decided to bet it, and somehow barreled the turn and got there in their eyes on the river. Yeah, in their mind, they're just like, yeah, I mean, they could easily have ace king, they could easily have pocket king, so we definitely got a bet for value with our 2 pair. And then they could check raise, and they're like, what is this about? I thought I had the best hand. Well, it's not that much more. I guess I call. Let's see what you got. And we got the trips, so shippity dip. Yeah, if we had jammed there, they could have folded. You know, because it looks like we have a set when we do that. And it looks like we have a set when we check raise small like we did, but, you know, when they got good odds, players just don't like to fold. And I got queens on the cutoff. Easily open. And ship them, please. We got ace jack. Under the gun +1. Under the gun opens. And they have played a few pots recently. Don't have that big of a sample size on them, but it looks like DB on John just figures they'll be light here often enough, and that's why they decide to 3-bet. Under the gun +1 against under the gun open. And they go full 3x, and it just seems a bit too loose because they are under the gun and they will be opening on the tighter side. So it's fine, I think, to try and put the pressure on them. You know, you have everyone covered, just trying to establish like a table image of being really aggro, you know, be that active table captain, so that way you get paid more when you got it. But I don't know, early positioning is early position, you know, like they're just gonna have it, you know, more often than they don't here. I think, you know, you don't have as much fold equity as you would if they were like late position. Like, you know, if DB's on like the button or the cutoff and Heretic's like hijack or cutoff, then yeah, I think this 3-bet's a lot more reasonable, but early position just seems kind of spewy because they're just gonna 4-bet, you know, a decent amount of the time. You know, like probably gonna have just like a more premium hand here. I mean, they'll flat sometimes too, and you can just take it down the c-bet post. But I mean, when they flat, they're gonna be stronger too because it's a full 3x. And it just becomes kind of tricky to play, and you might end up value tying yourself because they'll like basically just call with hands that ace jack doesn't fare that well against, like ace queen, you know, and some higher pairs. So even when you make a pair, like you could be value tying yourself, meaning, you know, betting thinking you have the best hand, but still they show up better. I don't know. I mean, I think it's okay. It has merit. You have blockers. You know, less likely they have ace king, ace queen, aces jacks, but it just seems like it's a bit too marginal, really, to kind of create these sort of situations. Might as well just play standard, play GTO, and you just fold ace jack off under the gun +1 to an under the gun open from stack that has what, like 36 blinds or so. Yeah, they have a pretty good stack to 4-bet jam over a 3-bet, so might as well just muck it to the initial open, and they do indeed 4-bet to nearly all in. We just let it go. So yeah, might as well just let it go the first time around and save some chips. Queen 7 now in the BB, facing us under the gun, open limp. Small blind raises, we get out of the way with their Queen 7. Cut off jams for about 10 blinds. This is actually an interesting spot. We might as well plug it in the Hold'em resources calculator. I think that it's rather close, but against like a tighter all-in range of like your average 4-180 player, I think you can lean towards folding, since they're just gonna not shove as lightly, so therefore 4s just doesn't play as well against their shifty dipping range. But we will get the exact Nash range in a moment, plugging in the sticky stacks as we speak. Got the blinds in there. Let's see. Stacks. Let's see, 250, 75. Technically, you actually have to put in the stacks of what they had before the blinds and the antes. So I guess we have to add 25 to these guys real quick. What is this, like 2704 then? This is 22 215, right? Yeah, 25 290 22 221. And then we are 125. Is that 300 370 382 plus 25 is 26 407, right? Yeah. And then we have here 250, 800. So that's 10,009. 2, right? plus 25, so it's 7. Okay, so let's check it out. If the cutoff is jamming this range, deuces plus ace-x, king 5 suited, king 10 off, queen 8 suited plus, queen 10 off plus, jack 8 suited plus, jack 10, 10 suited plus, 9 7 suited plus, 8 7 suited, 6 7 suited, then we in the small blind should be calling with 4s plus, so we could call. It is correct according to the Nash shoving ranges, but only if they are indeed shoving this Nash range. And that's the thing, the average 4-1-80 player probably is not shoving absolutely correct according to the Nash chart. Don't think they necessarily always shove like 7-6 suited, 9-7 suited, jack 8 suited. So because of that, yeah, I think we can muck the 4s since it's the bottom of the range, since they're going to be shoving slightly tighter than this, therefore we should be calling slightly tighter. But interesting to know from a Nash perspective that 4s is indeed a call, but again, that's only when the shover is also playing GTO and shoving a Nash range. Anyway, so DB seems to inherently have a feel for that and just lets it go. Nice hand, bro. 9-10 suited on the hijack. We open it up. BB defends. Get a 10-5-9 rainbow board. Backdoor flush draw. And, you know, not too much to worry about here. A few straight draws like 7-8, Jack Queen, King Queen, maybe like, you know, Jack 7 suited, 6-8 suited or something. But I mean, no flush draw. You know, we block top pair and second pair, so there's not like a lot of things they can call us with. So we decided to just, or DB decides to check back and induce bluffs, it seems, on the turn. Under rep their hand, just go for the delay C bet. Rep like they have maybe ace high and just decide about the turn. And turn is definitely a must bet since there is indeed a straight out there now. And, you know, we don't want to see a lot of rivers like 7, 8, Queen, King, like another Jack counterfeits our 2 pair. So even like a 5 would counterfeit it in a way, like if they had a Jack, then now they have a higher 2 pair. So we definitely want to bet here. And we do so and take it down with about a half pot sizing. And we have ace queen suited under the gun +1. Shift the bleezies with the open, nice hand. 5 jack now in the BB. For DB, under the gun +1, open limps, small blind calls. On John Shady checks. Got a 10-5-3 rainbow board. And if someone had a 10, they likely would have bet the flop. And we got to figure our second pair is good now, so we just bet it for value. And take it down. Nice hand. 3's now on button. Folds to us. And we shift the bleezies. Ace 5 suited down the cutoff. Muck since under the gun +1 here shifts it in. Three 5 suited down the BB. Facing a 3 extra under the gun +1. Button calls. DB flats out of the BB. And just completely misses this board. And it's kind of close between calling and folding pre. Getting 4-1, and all the stacks are pretty deep, so it's reasonable to call here and just like 2 pair plus mine. You know, only proceed whenever we get 2 pair trips, or like, yeah, straight or flush, or, you know, some sort of decent draw. Yeah, it's fine to peel since we're this deep. Got some equity. But definitely got to be wary against the under the gun +1 opener since it did 3 exit. Just makes the range a bit stronger. You take down the c-bet on the queen high board. These 3 suited here on the button. Again, we just muck since under the gun +1 here. Just JD jams it in. And queen 10 now on cutoff. So under the gun opens. And +2 flats. Get it out of the way. 4 5 suited now under the gun. Open this up. It's okay open because we're super deep, but in general, probably better to fold. You get jammed on, called, easy, muck. 3s now on the BBs. Under the gun, jams it in for less than blind. And cut off 7x's, we easily get out of the way. Jack queen now in the small blind. Hijack opens, button 3 bets, muck, ace 3 off now on the button. Cut off open, so we get out of the way. 6 7 suited, for open and 5 4 suited under the gun. 6 7 suited under the gun +2 is fine as well, but again, not a standard play. Just is stack size dependent, and since DB on John has heaps, it's fine too. Especially since approaching the money bubble, definitely want to put pressure on these players. And we got a cutoff and button stack that could jam over us, so that is what could weight it towards a fold. And don't know exactly how many players are left, but generally around this 150, 300, 200, 400 stage, they're close to the money, so that's why you can just kind of open widers because you have more fold equity. Small blind calls, get a 4 king king rainbow board, c-bet a little more to the third pot, it's fine. Dry board, it's gonna miss them a lot. Purple one to c-bet, take it down, nice hand. 9 jack suited, under the gun +1. Standard open, and small blind 3 bets to a little under 3x. Could flat here in position, getting over 2.5 to 1, be fine. Because they have more than 40 blinds behind. Definitely deep enough here to just see a flop, see if you can make a straight or flush or 2 pair. Even just top pair has some merit in position. You can just evaluate post. But they just opt to muck. I think that's fine. Still some reverse implied odds going for your top pair, since the 3 bet out of position indicates that you're kind of strong. So I think they'll have an overpair here a lot. So yeah, I think it's reasonable to fold, but it would also be fine to call. Queen 7 on the BB, and we just walk it out. Nice hand. 7 9 suited. Under the geezy, open it up, and Heretic continues to 3 bet, and now we are out of position. It makes it a much easier fold than the Jack 9 suited. King 5 off in the BB. Small blind slightly more than min opens. We defend in position as we should with any 2 cards, getting a good price, and being last to act post. Now we have a c-bet, a little less than half pot on this 9, 10 deuce 2 club board. DV about 3x raises. And the reason why On John does this is because they perceive the small blind to be raising wide pre and therefore c-betting wide as well post, and so they figure they just missed this, so they're just going to raise to fold out the air, specifically like the ace high air, that they are behind. And the reason why it's not the best spot to do this is because there's so many draws. Like the mentality has merit, but there are better boards to do it on. It's just that there's a 9-10 of clubs out there, and they could easily have a number of draws, you know, if they don't already have a made hand themselves, you know, like without a pair of 9s or 10s is not going to fold. And if they have like 7-8, they have Jack Queen, King Queen, Jack 7 suited. Yeah, I mean they could have like some sort of straight and flush draw combo, and like just basically no flush draws ever folding, and most straight draws are going to peel as well, like the stronger ones, the open enders anyway, and like the 2 overs and a gut shot like King Jack, King Queen. So just because you have no fold equity against any of those, but you do block King Queen, King Jack, sure, because you have a king, so that has some merit. But still, I just think that they're going to put you on a draw a lot as well when you raise this texture, so they'll be more apt to call you down lightly. So that's why I don't think it's the best board to raise on, but it works to get it through. They just had some sort of air hand, missed. Very nice read. Shippity dippa. Under the gun, open limps. Heretic Isas, get out of the way. 9's now on the bootin'. Cutoff opens, DB peels, Queen 6-5, rainbow board, easy call. We could 3-bet pre, but we're both really deep. Don't really want to have to potentially fold our equity to a 4-bet. And when we 3-bet, yeah, I mean, like, sure, they'll call with some worse hand still, but we fold out a lot of things we're ahead of. So by calling, we keep in those things and are in position and can still get a decent amount of value post, potentially more than if we 3-bet, you know. So either way is fine, but it seems like calling is probably a bit better. It's lower variance anyway, and that's what you kind of want to go for when you have a deeper stack. You know, you'd rather just, yeah, like save the higher variance situations for when you're all in against like the short medium stacks. Like when you call here on the button too, you induce the small blind sometimes to ship it in with their sub 20 VB stack. They have the perfect going all in stack, you know, with worse pairs like cutoff calls, button calls. Both are going to have, you know, wide-ish ranges, therefore the small blind can profitably jam like all pairs lower than 9s. So by calling, you keep in all those hands to potentially, you know, ship it in, and you can pick them off if the cutoff folds. But when you 3-bet, all those hands generally just fold. So yeah, you could lose some action by 3-betting there for sure. So yeah, like the call, we get a queen high flop. They c-bet, we easily call. They're going to be c-betting plenty of worse things than 9s here. 5 on the turn, pairs of the board, check, and we check behind. It's good news when they check there. It means that we're usually ahead, especially when we get a queen on the river and they bet about 40% pot, a little less. Since there's a second queen, it's less likely they have a queen, and since they check the turn, less likely they have an overpair. They could easily be value betting worse. They could have 8s or 7s, maybe even an ace high type hand that's just trying to block bet, you know, and get called by another ace high type hand, so they can just chop it up rather than checking to us and potentially having to face a big bet and then maybe, you know, be put in a tough spot with their ace high on the double paired board. So once they bet this size, you know, we're getting well over 3-1, almost 4-1. So just getting good odds to call. We don't have to be right too often here. Plus the fact that they could be value betting worse makes it a really easy call. And somehow they decided to check the turn with aces to trap, to under-ref their hand, and they did a great job. So yeah, way to get, you know, pretty much as much value as you could have there, Dima. Don't know if DB on John would have called a turn bet. I think they may have. I think it would have been okay too. But I think, yeah, sometimes 9s will fold there. So by checking the turn, you're able to get an extra street of value. Yeah, very nicely played. And yeah, very standardly played as well by DB on John. Can't really get away from it there. Couldn't have, yeah, done anything different. Now 5-6 suited, going for the 3-bet against the open now from Dima on the hijack. It's an okay spot, but it's probably better to just fold, especially because you have the button and BB, who, you are committed against when you 3-bet to this amount, since it's not too much more for you to call off when they go all in. And when they go all in, they're going to have overpairs a lot. Some ace high type hands too, which you're faring well against, or, good enough against anyway. Usually like a 40-60. But, at the very least, like 2-1. And, it's okay, but, like, it's just still not ideal because, like, the hijack is still going to perceive you maybe to be lighter there because you just lost the pot with 9s. Maybe it seems like you're a bit tilted and 3-betting lighter because of it, and, you are only 3-betting with 6 high. So there's some merit to that thought process. So because you will be perceived as wider, it's better to not actually be on the lighter side, so probably better to just let this go. And again, you want to avoid playing higher variance pots with the bigger stacks, which is why we flatted the 9s rather than 3-bet. But, so they make it 1380, make it 3900, a little under 3x. I mean, as far as 3-bet sizing goes, it's fine. Maybe you want to make it a little bigger to discourage folds, maybe make it like 4200. But, it's whatever, it's not too much of a difference. But again, you just want to give as bad of odds as possible to discourage folds as much as you can. And they call, we get a 10-5-3, 2-hard board, flop middle pair. And they check, and DB just bets huge, like over 2/3, bombs it, trying to, get them to fold. This is a bet saying, hey, I got an overpair, get out of here. Don't want to see another heart roll off. And, you rep it pretty well, but you almost rep it too hard. It looks like you're trying to get them to fold. And if you're trying to get them to fold, you don't always have it. Sometimes you have air, like you do. I mean, pair of 5s still is going to be best here sometimes, against all their ace-high type hands, Broadway type hands, King, Queen, Jack, Queen, King, Jack, things like that. But, yeah, I mean, like, it just seems too spewy. Like, whenever they call, you're in a tough spot. There's going to be, like, 13-5 or so, plus the 9K, 22-5-ish on the turn. You only have 13K behind, a little more than a half pot size bet, but not really much enough to, like, make them fold. Like up 10, for example. Maybe even, like, pocket 9s, pocket 8s, if it's, like, a low card. And they're never folding hearts. So, I mean, I don't know, just kind of too much of a spew when you bet here, and then they check raise too, and you have to fold. Yeah, I mean, you just give up like half your stack almost. It just seems unnecessary when you could just fold pre and have, a very comfortable stack to work with. But thankfully you get it through, and shivity dip a nice pot to chip up to almost 50 blinds. So nice hand, but at the same time, again, I think folding pre to the open is probably better. Queen 9 now in the BB. Yeah, it looks like we have been in the money, I guess, for a bit. I think this is the final table bubble. And we peel this hijack open, get a 4-4 ace board. Hijack bets bet a third pot, takes down. Nice. Do we do anything here with 7-4 suited? Nope. 4, 10-8. Do anything here with that? No, easy muck. 5 muck. Yeah, boomer opens, right? We don't defend this. No, yeah, 3-bet. Queen, 3 2, 10, 8. Jack 8 suited. Small blind jams it in for a little less than 14 blinds. interesting spot. Gonna be ahead of some of the hands they go on with here, but not a lot. Equity's still pretty good though, which is why DB decides to call it off. This is gonna be another one for the Hold'em resources calculator. Let's see. So how much we got to work with pre here? Like 189 plus the 24 plus the 50, so that is 82. 39. And how much we got here? DB. What is that? 27.98 plus 50. So 27.148. And here we are. Let's pull this up for you guys. Okay, so here are 600 blinds, 300 small blind, 50 ante. Structure's always one. You know, if you guys have not used Hold'em resources before. And plug in the small blind, the BB. So now we get a range of what they're shoving, what we should be calling with. And assuming they're shoving about a 50% range, deuces plus, ace x plus, king 2 suited plus, king 4 off plus, etc. You can see we have to call with deuce plus ace x, king 4 suited, but onto the suited jacks, jack 9 suited. So jack 8 suited is just slightly below the bottom of the calling range, but if you can widen the small blinds range to more than these hands, then you can call it for sure, but it seems kind of doubtful. They're shoving more than 5-4 suited, 6-4 suited plus, 7-4 suited plus. I mean, do they shove like 3 suited here, 4-3 suited? Do they shove like 6-3 suited? It's close. Some players do, and if you really think they're shoving that wide, yeah, sure, call it off jack 8 suited. But it's close regardless, and since it's slightly below the bottom of the range, probably fold. But if they had like 10 blinds or something, it's a snap call. But they shove, we get it in, and we just brick out against the queen 7 off. Just hold the queen high. So I mean, DB is not too far off in the BB there, since the SB did have just queen 7. Gonna be shoving pretty light. Yeah, queen 7, as you can see, is not included. Oh, here, I'll pull that up for you guys. There we go. Okay, so we got the... Where are we? Where did jack 8 suited? There we go. So... yeah, they jam, they got the queen 7 off, and as you can see, the lowest offsuit queen they should be shoving is queen 8, so they actually are shoving wider than Nash there, therefore jack 8 suited becomes a better call. So yeah, nice hand. Way to adjust. Instincts are spot on there, DB on Sean. And then we got pocket 10s here. Did some folding, and we're under the gun. Open it up to a little more than 2 blinds on this slightly more than 20 BB stack, and under the gun +1 flats, and the BB 3 bets massive. Well, not even massive, but like a little more than 3x. But it's just such a substantial portion of their stack. It's about 1/3 of it, so they're obviously committed to an all-in, therefore we can put them on a stronger range. You know, they're 3-betting off of what, yeah, like 18k, which is like 18,400, which is about 13 blinds, or no, excuse me, 23 blinds. So when they 3-bet here, it looks super strong. Like if they had like 9s, they had 8s, they had ace king, ace queen, they generally just jam those types of hands. So for them to be 3-betting to a size that says I'm 3-bet calling, it just signifies like a strong pair. I would say jacks through kings a lot of the time. And maybe aces occasionally, maybe ace king as well sometimes. But basically we're just hoping to be flipping. Doubt they ever have 9s here. I think they always jam that. So jamming just seems a bit too loose. I know it seems kind of nitty, but I think folding pocket tens is best to this 3-bet because just don't really see them calling you with worse for the most part. I think they just have better most of the time. And why get it in against a better pair? You know, you're not going to get there enough. And fortunately, we do just flop top set. Because pocket tens do flop sets the most, in my opinion. And Stampin' Bariqua's my fiance's opinion. She believes that pocket nines set the most. Thus, around our Shippy Dip headquarters, we refer to nines as the Stampins and tens as the crayons, and clearly tens do set the most, as you can see. But also you can see that the BB had the KK, so it's still best to just muck the tens pre, because, you know, they're just going to have overpair here. Yeah, I would say jacks through kings, I think, is the range for the most part. So no reason to get it in against that range, just not going to get there enough of the time. Thankfully we do this time. And ship a decent amount of dip to get more than a double. And now we have jack 7 BB, easy call this small blind all in for less than 2 BB. And we ship the dip with trips, hold against the 4-5 suited. And with that, we are at the final table. So we are just going to end this part now after we ship the Bleezies with King 9 on the cutoff. Yeah, pretty standard open. And everybody fade folds. So we will again end part 3 of this $4 180 hand history review here. Be back for part 4, the final table. It's the final countdown. Da-na-na. We'll continue that song when we come back for the finale of this 4-180 Shippity Dip hand history review video. Hope to see you there.